Hey guys, welcome back to Star Wars Studios, and in this video I'm going to be ranking every single episode from the Book of Boba Fett Season 1 from worst to best. Now obviously there are 7 episodes, so at number 7 it will be the worst episode, and at number 1 it will be the best episode. So without further ado, let's get right into it. And at number 7 we have Chapter 5, Return of the Mandalorian. Now, don't get me wrong, I loved this episode. But when you create a series called The Book of Boba Fett, and you don't even have Boba Fett in one episode, even 2 episodes, I mean, we did see a little glimpse of him in episode 6, but that's for later in this video. When you don't have him at all in one episode, it just doesn't belong in the series. I mean, don't get me wrong, there were so many cool moments in this episode. The very beginning scene, we kicked it right off with Mando and the Darksaber completing a bounty hunting job. That was absolutely amazing. I loved the fight between him and Vizsla, the descendant of Pre-Vizsla and Tar Vizsla. That was really cool. I loved that. I loved the return of the N1 starfighter, my personal favorite starfighter. The whole episode was just filled with so many awesome moments, and the whole thing was just really cool, but it just didn't belong in the series, and that's my problem. That's my only problem with this episode, and that is why it has the number 7 spot on this list. At number 6, we have episode 6, and the reason it's at this spot on the list is pretty much the same reasons as episode 5. Now, granted, we did get literally a 5-second interlude or a spot where we saw Boba Fett, didn't even say anything. And the reason why it's over episode 5 is because we got to see Cad Bane, which was honestly one of the biggest highlights of the entire series. We also got to saw another Luke cameo and Grogu. We got to see Ahsoka. That was all cool. My favorite part in this entire episode, besides Cad Bane, was when Grogu was doing the backflips and the front flips and all those flips, because I went back in my mind to me being just a little kid and watching Yoda in episode 2 doing all those flips against Count Dooku. That was my favorite moment in all of Star Wars, and that was just extreme flashback for me. But overall, this episode was great. I mean, we didn't have Boba Fett. Well, we did for like 5 seconds. We had Cad Bane, and that was just amazing. But the reason it's on this spot on the list over episode 5 is because we only got to see 5 seconds of Boba Fett, and like I said before, I just don't think it belongs in the series. At number 5, we have Chapter 1, Stranger in a Strange Land. Now for me, this was absolutely an amazing opener to the Season 1 Book of Boba Fett. Everything about it was just, it was amazing. Like, the flashback was so cool. We got to see the beginning stages of Boba Fett being accepted into the Tusken clan. Of course, that happens in episode 2, but we do see him winning his freedom, quote-unquote, when he kills that dragon, which was, honestly, that was a super cool part in the flashback when he kills that crazy monster. For me, I loved seeing him crawl in the Sarlacc pit. And how he did that. Originally, that was Legends, of course, with The Mandalorian Season 2. It now became canon, but it was just awesome to see how he did it. Excluding the flashback, when back in the real world on Mos Espa, also amazing. I mean, it was a really cool, action-packed scene between him and the thieves. And that was, of course, Boba Fett is weaker in that moment because he's not fully healed. But still, you know, it was it was just a great opener to the series. So kudos, a shout out to Robert Rodriguez doing a great job for Chapter 1, A Stranger in a Strange Land. And at number 4, we have Chapter 3, The Streets of Mos Espa. Now, I know everybody is saying that this is the worst episode of the Book of Boba Fett, but honestly, I would have to disagree strongly, because I really enjoyed this episode. Yes, the speeder chase was weak, but let me just start off right at the bat, just saying that the speeder chase wasn't about looking cool. It was proving that the mod squad could be successful allies that could carry out missions when they were told to. That was the whole reason of the speeder chase. It wasn't for all the coolness or the awesomeness of it. Yeah, it was slow, but it wasn't the point. The point was that the Mod Squad could be a successful ally to Boba Fett. I also loved the Black Chrysanthemum scene and the fight scene. I know everybody else is saying that was a horrible fight scene too, but I mean, guys, it was awesome. I mean, come on. When a Wookiee throws someone around, it's just fun. It's just fun to watch. I mean, I thought the fight scene was great. They brought in the Rancor. That was a really exciting moment, I'm sure, for all of us. The flashback scene, for me, yes, it was inevitable that the Tuskens would die eventually, but I kind of wanted it to be a little more action-packed, not just he finds them dead, although I do see why they put it in this way. However, I do wish there was a little more action there, but the acting by Tim Morrison when he's looking at the bodies of his Tusken friends, it's amazing. The emotion that he put into that acting, it was just amazing. So overall, I think that this episode was a good episode. It was better than episode 1 in my opinion, better than episode 5 and 6 because they didn't belong in the series in the first place. And at number 3, we have episode 4, The Gathering Storm. Now, this episode pretty much spent the whole time in the flashback, with honestly, I didn't have a problem with that. I love how we met Fennec Shan. Boba finally meets Fennec Shan in this flashback, and of course, she helps him obtain the Slave One, which goes ballistic on those speed biker gangs. Not speed biker gangs, the speed biker gang, and just destroys them. I love that. That was my favorite part in this whole episode by far. Of course, he kills the Sarlacc, and it was pretty cool. I mean, the seismic charge, of course, destroys it. I love that sound. That's probably one of my favorite sounds in Star Wars. And then fast forwarding into back where Boba is now in the Mos Espa territory. I'm so glad that Black Chrysanthemum did not just walk away from the series, but that Boba Fett hired him. I was so excited. Very well played by the director of this episode. I'm so glad that Boba Fett hired him. And just the whole episode, it was really nice. I really enjoyed how the Slave One comes back into this episode. Sadly, though, it does not appear for really the rest of the series, which is kind of a bummer, but still, great episode. And at number 2, we have episode 2, The Tribes of Tatooine. Now, I cannot put enough into this little segment of the video to express how much I loved this episode. I mean, everything from the very beginning when we see the crazy, I think it was a girl. In my mind, I think it's a girl. The master swordsman of the gaffy stick training Boba Fett, all the way from that to the train sequence, which I thought was absolutely amazing. I loved that. Some of the best Star Wars I've seen in a long time, since The Mandalorian Season 2, Episode 8. We got those flashbacks to young Boba Fett. We got him making the gaffy stick, which was a beautiful sequence as well. Everything about this episode was just amazing. And excluding the flashbacks, we got Black Chrysanthemum. Everyone was so hyped up for that. I mean, everyone was going livid from all the reactions I saw. All the Legends fans were in, canon fans were just going insane. I mean, everything about this episode it was amazing. There's not enough pieces and parts, and there's not enough to put into this episode or this segment of the video of how much I loved this chapter in the Book of Boba Fett Season 1. And finally, at number 1, we have Episode 7, In the Name of Honor. And guys, like Chapter 2, this episode, in my opinion, is pretty close to perfect. I mean, such a great battle. Honestly, this battle will probably go down to be one of my favorite battles in all of Star Wars. Everything from Mando and Boba teaming up and flying and killing all those people. I mean, that was literally insane. Best part of the whole Boba Fett, besides the Rancor coming in, Boba riding it. I mean, everything was just so amazing. And then finally we had Boba versus Cad Bane. honestly, myself, I did not expect Boba Fett to actually kill Cad Bane, but I mean, he did. But I mean, it was such a great duel. The Rancor was amazing. All the fighting, it was well choreographed. I know everybody's really mad about that spin move. I mean, whatever, we can let it fly. But I mean, guys, it was the only flaw I have with this episode is the little scene at the end credits where Marshall Vanth is going to get modded by the modder. Like, I just don't think we needed that. We didn't really need to see that at the end credits. Kind of let down, but still, the whole episode, great. Like I said before, this will probably go down as to being one of my favorite battles in all of Star Wars. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Be sure to like and subscribe, and tell me down in the comments what your favorite episode of the Book of Boba Fett was. Be sure to stay tuned to my videos, and until the next one, may the Force be with you.